Hello artists, now that you're finished weaving on both sides of your board, we need to make the top flap. So you need another arm length of yarn to get started. And like before, we're going to start on a warp strand where we go crisscross, poke through, pull, repeat. To make a small knot to begin with, and I'm going to cut that tail. And like before, we thread your needle and tie the yarn to the needle itself. This time when we're weaving, we're only weaving on one side. This is where that popsicle stick is going to come in very, very handy. So we're going to start out, look at what your weave was before. So this one's on top. I need to make sure my needle ends up underneath so the pattern continues. We don't want any big gaps. Over, under, pull. And when I do this, I'm weaving through higher, pulling, and then pushing down. We're trying to avoid pulling these warp strands in. We don't want it to get the hourglass look. What you're doing with the popsicle is you're looking at where do I need to go next. So I need this to be underneath, over, under, over. Flip it. And this makes it so you can just launch your needle under those strands and then gently push down. Notice how I kept this a little bit loose on the end. Okay, popsicle sticks back down. Repeat your pattern, just going back and forth, opposite of the way you came. Push down. Flip the stick. Now I can just launch it through, just like a shuttle on a real weaving loom. I'm pulling through up high, then push it down all the way to pack it down. Flip the stick, go through. And just like before, when you have about a needle's length of yarn left, that's where you need to take this off. And tie this to a new piece. Put both ends together, lay it on the table if you need to, make a loop, lift that loop, pinch where they cross, flip, and they will pop right through. Make sure they are both tight. Cut the bunny ears. And the other end goes on your needle. When you've done enough weaving that your flap is about 2 inches tall, we're going to tie it off. We're not going all the way to the end. So option, you could tie a knot at the end like we did at the beginning, or we just take that needle and put it through 5 or so loops and pull it down. Kind of tuck it in there. Make sure you've pushed things down so you don't see the warp threads in this area, and trim. Before we remove this from the board, not on the flap side, on the other side, we're going to use your leftover yarn and we're going to swap out your weaving needle for a smaller needle. And for threading that one, make the loop, poke it through the eye, pull. And what we're going to do is, not at the top, see here's the warp threads. Remember, there's the flap. I'm gonna drop down a little bit and put this needle and the yarn through one strand. Then we're going to take some kind of a bead. It might be a wood bead, it might be a pony bead. I'm going to put the yarn through the bead and then tie this off. So to make a knot, make Mr. Bunny Rabbit, poke the short ear through the hole, pull, repeat. Make Mr. Bunny Rabbit, poke it through the hole, pull. So it's attached to your project. Cutting by the knot. Both needles are getting turned in to me. Now, removal. We're going to take these and not down low, up higher, cut the warp threads. And I'm going to tie these in pairs. Crisscross, pull down, crisscross and down. Repeat. And I want this knot to touch your weft threads and give it a haircut. All right, now we can pull these through. And I'm removing the tape. And the same thing. We do them in pairs. Crisscross, poke it through, pull. Next two. Now notice there's an odd one. We're going to take the oddball and tie it to a next door neighbor. So I'm taking this one and tying it to one piece that's close by. One more time, make sure these knots, they're tied twice. They touch the web threads, and give that a haircut. And now we're going to carefully remove this from your loom. We want to hide the knots, so we can take your little pouch and carefully turn it inside out. This is where we see that bottom warp strand. We can just give that a little haircut. And now it's gone. All the knots are gone. And we can take that bead that you made and you can pop it back through on the front. If you don't want to turn it inside out, you could always just tuck your knots on the inside. And now when the flap comes down, you just kind of push this bead through and your pouch can close.